And away we go. So thank you for coming back. Thank you for joining for the first time if you're here. Last week, for those of you that attended, we really worked on resetting the normal process of breathing, very much checking into how we breathe and just kind of coming back to the normal process of healthy breathing based on your own needs. Now, so there was no real pranayama built into that, but it was about prana, right? Life force and reconnecting with it in a way that is healthy. So I thought, what do I want to do? And actually, I'm going to run a series now from this week for the next 2 weeks into the future, for 3, on alternative nostril breathing. Because, and it might actually go on for a 4th week, because when we move into the subtle aspect of breath and allowing it to arise in a healthy way, because most of us in society have breathing patterns that don't serve us. When we move into that subtlety, my mind immediately goes to really the most subtle pranayama, which, unless it's done with some other techniques at the same time, is alternate nostril breathing. And we're going to start it with Hummingbee Breath or Brahmari. The reason is that a lot of us tend to be congested, and Brahmari, right, the Hummingbee Breath, it, through the vibration, it activates the sinuses and it can help clear. It's a nice precursor to alternate nostril breathing. It's not usually taught before it. So we'll do a few rounds of that, and then we'll come to alternate nostril breathing. And I'll also speak to you about different ways that you can open up your sinus cavities if they're blocked, and of course offer an alternative if you just can't breathe into one nostril at a time. All right? So with that in mind, Brahmari just sounds like this, right? If you're new to it. Right? That's it. And in its traditional iteration, you wouldn't just make the noise, but you also have hand movements associated with it. Like you place your thumbs into that little divot at the side of the ears, right? And what that is meant to do is to close down external sound so you can really hear your internal vibration. And then if you really want to go for the classical version, you're closing off all sensory input, and you have this hand position or mudra that looks like this. You have the index finger above the eyes, the middle finger below, the ring finger below the nose, and then the pinky below the mouth, right? And you soften your shoulders. So you can do that, this, or you can do nothing and just have your hands on your lap, which is what I'm going to do so I can see all of you. And traditionally, it's done very high-pitched like this. But I find many people don't like that sound inside their own heads. So you find whatever vibration works for you. We're going to do it for 2 minutes, primarily as a precursor for the next breathing technique. So just have your eyes downcast and closed first, right? So that we can just mindfully come to our breath. Notice how we feel. And be honest with yourself this morning as you sit, as you feel your body on the ground or on a chair, your chest slightly lifted, your shoulders soft, your chin ever so gently tucked with the crown of your head lifted towards the ceiling or sky. Just notice and ask, what does it feel like to be me here now? And can that be said without expectation? Can you simply be interested without wanting it to be a particular way? And feel your breath. How does it feel to be a breathing being in this moment for you? How's your inhale? How's your exhale? And when you're ready, we're going to begin the hummingbee. And I ask that you do not wait for me to start or finish. We start only one time together. And then as soon as you're done, elongating the breath as much as you do naturally using the humming, You wait until you're ready to inhale, and then you exhale again. You do not wait for me. You honor your own breath capacity. So let's do it together. Inhale naturally, and go ahead and we're going to do one last one together. Lovely. Okay. So again, the purpose of that was to prepare our sinuses. It's really useful to think of why you pair pranayama and breath practices. And now we're going to begin with alternate nostril breathing. Some of you might be very familiar with it and others new. For those of you that are familiar with it, just quickly wait for my directions and then commence. And for those of you that are new to it, I'll talk you through it step by step. So alternate nostril breathing is exactly that. You breathe through one nostril at a time. And we always have a certain level of nostril dominance, by the way. If you really pay attention to your breath, at any given moment, one of your nostrils is breathing oxygen more strongly than the other. And while the other nostril is breathing less, there are leukocytes or white blood cells there clearing out debris. So your system's really intelligent. But the even breathing between one and the other over and over has an impact on your nervous system, because we know through both the yoga tradition and modern research that breathing through the left nostril is associated with calm states or parasympathetic states, and the right through sympathetic or more active states. So when we keep going back and forth actively and not allowing the nostril dominance that would otherwise be there to take over, in that period of time, we are forging a deep balance in our autonomic nervous system. So we usually start on the left. There are different hand gestures that people tend to use. This is my favorite, Vishnu, where your fingers are tucked in, or some people like this one with the two fingers on the third eye point or the forehead. Whatever hand gesture you want, keep your right shoulder relaxed, place your thumb on your right nostril, and what you're gonna do is you're gonna breathe into the left. And then you're gonna close the left with your ring finger, and for 1 second, you're gonna be without moving between either, and then you're gonna exhale through the right. And then you're gonna inhale through the right, close, hold, and you exhale through the left. So that's one round. And if you're familiar with alternate nostril breathing, I'm just going to invite you to continue. I want you to count even amounts. So inhale in and exhale out the same number. I would recommend, for those of you familiar with it, to start with 4. Inhaling 1, 2, 3, 4. Close and hold. Exhale, 1, 2, 3, 4. Inhale, 1, 2, 3, 4. Close and hold. Exhale out of the left. 1, 2, 3, 4. So continue like that if you're already aware of how to practice. Breathing in for 4, holding, exhaling out of the alternative 1 for 4. And if you feel you can easily do 5, 6, comfortably go for that. Now, if you have congestion, as we often do, there are some tricks that we can use if the congestion is not severe, right? So we know that if we lift the sinus cavity of the blocked or occluded nostril like this, what happens is it opens and it becomes easier to do this, right? If they're both blocked, you need to lift up both cheeks, and then you can use your ring fingers to go back and forth like this, okay? If they're both blocked. The other thing that you can do, right, is you can actually place your hand in the contralateral armpit. It's really interesting that you have a special reflex here that when you push into the armpit, it opens up the alternative nostril. It's a little harder to do that with your finger position. Okay, if you're really blocked and none of that's helping you, you can just do Ujjayi breathing. Now, coming back to this, I want us to really be focusing on doing this subtly and gently. Sometimes I practice alternate nostril breathing with Ujjayi. That does is that enhances the amount of air I can take in and out. And so I feel less breathless. But because we're coming back to subtlety and we're bearing subtlety, I don't want you to do that. Rather, I want you to watch as you do this. Very slow, controlled, steady process. And watch as you breathe out the other side. Slow, controlled, steady, and really focusing on keeping the flow of air slow, controlled, steady. And to notice as well, in doing that, when you come to your edge, when you feel breathless, agitated, like you don't want to continue. And at that moment, unless you truly can't breathe, I want you to move through the resistance for at least 2 rounds before giving yourself a break, to be able to bear the subtlety, the slight reduction in oxygen flow, the increase in carbon dioxide levels that I constantly talk about. I want you to bear it for 2 rounds, to build up your resiliency, to come back to your system actually realizing you don't need to breathe as much, as intensely as you think. And also see what that does to the mind. And then if you need a break, go ahead, take a break for a few moments, and then return. There's a lot of directions this morning. And now I'm going to count it again for those of you that want to do it with me after that long soliloquy. I'm going to do it for 5 if you want to follow, including the right nostril. Inhaling 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Close and hold. Exhaling through the left, subtle. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Inhaling through right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Close and hold. Exhale through the left. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Inhale. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Close and hold. Exhale through the right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Inhale. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Close and hold. Exhale. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Continue counting. And if 5 is too much, because actually it's quite long for doing this in the beginning, it's quite long to deal with the subtlety, scale back to 4, to 3, or to 2. And understand that the resistance you feel, if you do feel any, is the resistance to changing your breathing habit. And that if you can be with that, you are in the terrain of shifting towards a healthier breathing habit. And that also you are building up your capacity to be with discomfort. And unfortunately, as we all know, life is full of discomfort. You can guarantee that that discomfort will pass as soon as you release your hands from your nose and breathe through both nostrils. So if you can trust in just being present with it, rather than escaping it, you have an opportunity to cultivate. And for those of you simply enjoying it, fantastic. But there are all kinds of different responses we have. And we're going to be practicing this way now without me talking for the next 5 minutes, which should be for you about another 10 rounds or so. So continue. Really connect with your breath, your subtle breath coming in and out of one nostril, in and out of the other. And again, if you want to pass into something else and not do this technique, can you continue? I have actively chosen in the last 2 weeks not to provide these immediate, joyful changes in physiological state that just happen in a second, and rather to work at the deeper level of your nervous system, of your respiratory system with you for change. And sometimes it's not as momentarily exciting, but it has deep value. Returning to the subtle. Do 2 more complete rounds. That means from right all the way through on the inhale, left all the way through on the inhale, out the right, in the right, out the left. And when you're done, you can just release your hands to your lap, but no rush at all. 2 more complete rounds. Okay. And for those of you still going, no rush. For those of you that have completed, just really feeling yourself breathing, inhaling, feeling the container of the lungs fill, exhaling, filling them, empty a little bit. Just watch how this has affected your breathing. Is it subtle now? Has it become much more active, stronger? Probably not. Probably resting in the subtlety. So just watch the breath as we move into a short meditation. And because we did the alternate nostril breathing, maybe you can let your mind reside just at the space where the air enters and exits the nostrils. And just feel the air flowing in on the inhale, flowing out on the exhale. And you might possibly be able after this practice to even notice which nostril is slightly more dominant on the breath. If you don't sense it, it's fine, but it's something to be interested in, to really be able to watch which nostril. Is my body naturally calling on breathing into the right side, slightly more mobilizing of energy side, or into the right, slightly more calming side? And it may have absolutely nothing to do with your underlying psychology. It might just be that one nostril right now is being cleaned, so the other is dominant. But watch and know. What aspect of me is getting more life force right now? More oxygen. And if the mind moves away as it often does, lost in fears and thoughts, just bring it back. Bring it back to the subtle process of breathing, watching which nostril is more dominant. And if you want to get up and do something else seems more interesting, just watch that impulse. Because underneath that need for grosser input, exciting things, fixing anxiety and mood, is a subtlety. It's not all that exciting, but underneath the subtlety is the reconnection to yourself, a place of deep connection and peace. And simply by watching the breath, we arrive there. By being willing to do nothing more than watching the breath. By cultivating our love affair with breath. Patiently cultivating our love affair with breath. And tell yourself now, I am soon going to come out of the formal practice, if you'd like to. Or if you want to just continue to sit here watching your breath and meditating, go ahead. You know, before I do the Q&A, life is so different for many of us than it was before March 2020. The world is different. A lot of us have gone through some challenging times, while others have actually found relief from the change that is experienced in the world. Right? But regardless of your specific response to it, I feel that this is a time and an opportunity to reflect on the fact that the only thing that we can control is how we respond to experience. The only thing that we have, and we've always known this, but it's highlighted it more for me and for many. And so the willingness to show up and to simply be with the breath, to watch the thoughts coming and go, to be with our resistances, we cultivate more deeply, more deeply, more deeply that ability, which makes it possible to manage the vicissitudes of life, right? And pranayama sets us up to shift physiological state to make that possible. But ultimately, at the end of the pranayama, the controlled breathing, it is about just showing up with our experience, using the ubiquitous aspect of breath as our guide to help the mind just be here, to be willing to just be present, to feel, to watch, and to not get lost in the maelstrom of experience, fear, excitement, and all of those things. I'm sorry I sound a little preachy. Don't mean to, but I just, there are those moments where I feel this, so I just speak it to you. It's just so deeply, deeply important. Right? It's the only thing we can really take refuge in, is our mind's ability to be with experience. So we need to spend more time with it, because actually we try to take refuge in 1,000 things that will pass away and not be consistent. But our mind, if we balance it, we can trust in that. Thank you for being here this morning with me. Next week, we'll do alternate nostril breathing with an elongated exhale. Then we'll bring in breath holding, and we'll bring in coherent breathing. So we're going to build on it. Yeah. And if you're really congested, you might think of a saline wash in advance to work with it. I need to do that because if you know me, you know I have terrible allergies. So I'm always congested. Anyway, it's Q&A time, or comments, if you have any. And you can raise the Zoom hand. If you don't know how to do it, of course, you can just unmute yourself, and I'll do it in the order of anyone with questions. Many thanks. See you next week. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Thank you. Thank you. I'm happy. Yes, go ahead.
Sorry to just come up for me. I just have a quick question. When I was doing the alternate nostril breathing, one nostril, was making a bit of a noise as I was breathing and breathing out. Is that normal? I mean, it does seem a bit congested more on one side. Is there anything I can do to alleviate that?
Well, it might be congestion. I mean, the thing, like I said, the saline wash is really good. Or, traditionally in yoga, we use the neti pot, right? You put a salt water solution in, you put it in one nostril and it comes out the other side with the mouth closed. Not everyone likes that feeling, but that really helps. The other thing that might help in advance is a little bit of Kapalabhati breath. That tends to help as well.
Thank you.
Thank you. You guys are writing loads of questions in the chat. All right, let me see if I can go back to this. So Yoga Presence asked, just not confirming, you say, it's okay to use Ujjayi with, you can use Ujjayi with Nadi Shodhana, yes. I mean, even if you haven't read it, it's the integration of two practices together, and there is value in doing it. But we have to ask ourselves, what is the purpose of it? And when we do it, it makes it easier for many people because the breath is less subtle, so it makes it more tolerable. And also you have the additional effects of Ujjayi combined with the Nadi Shodhana. Yeah. Let's see. Any other questions or comments? Or just thank yous? Holding under the armpit to find more black side. I found it a bit difficult. Oh yeah, you can put a tennis ball there. Yeah, you can put that. You can also, like in India, they put these like canes underneath their armpits to hold the nostrils open. They can be a bit much and sometimes a little bit damaging, but yeah, tennis ball is perfect, Susan. Thank you for that. How will it work? Yeah, you have to sign up for every session by the website. Yeah, so that's how it goes. And share, I can have up to 500 people here, so share. To join the session, just go to the Minded Institute website and then click under professional trainings, and there'll be like online courses free and stuff. What is the purpose of briefly holding as a transition from nostril to nostril? I want to give your nervous system a tiny opportunity to shift from one place to the other. That's why I'm doing that. And you have sensory bodies as well in your nose, your suprameatus muscle, sensory body, which are activated from pressure actually on one nostril and the other. And they send messages up to the contralateral hemisphere of the brain. So also I'm just giving a little second for there to be a shift when you have that pressure. It's not just about the breath, it's also about the touch. Please give website address. How did you get on the session if you didn't have the website address? That's interesting because I thought everyone had to go to the website. Maybe somebody sent it to you, but yeah, thank you, Petra. You put it there for Mel. Questions in the chat. When do you expect to finish on sign? I think I'm going to continue probably till Christmas or until I go away in December. I've even been thinking, should I up it to more than once a week? But we'll see. We'll see how that goes. And I heard you last week that you want me to do a CPD on respiratory medicine or respiratory science, and I will do it. I'm knee deep in writing a new manual for a new 8-week course right now. But when I emerge from that quagmire of work, I will put some more CPDs on. But in 2 weeks, I have my longer anxiety course, and there's an amazing chronic pain course. So you can do those. Holding your armpit is the same as inhaling or exhaling. Holding your armpit will open up the contralateral nostril. And that is also why, right, for any of you interested in this, in yoga, how you roll to your right-hand side at the end of Shavasana, and then you're on your right-hand side, your left is lifted. Really pay attention to that because there's a little bit of pressure in the right armpit because you're laying on it. You will, unless your nostril is occluded, be breathing more into your left nostril when you're on your right hand side, coming up from Shavasana, which might be, because people always ask, what's the reason, right? Since the left nostril is a little bit more parasympathetic, maybe the ancient yogis thought, why don't we come up and rest on the side that's going to continue to support calm, right? Breathing into the nostril there. Just notice it for yourself, right? I can tell you this, but sense it. Next time you come up from your practice and you're in that fetal position, or what I like to call nesting, notice if actually you feel your breath more in your left nostril. Why does my breath get deeper? Is that okay? Yes. There are many reasons. I don't know why, but it's fine if your breath gets deeper. It's not a problem. Some of you are writing questions very quickly, and I'm not sure what they're in response to, so I can't answer them. It says before or after asana. I'm not sure what that refers to. Louise, oh, you used the raise the hand. Thank you. That's so much easier for me. Thank you, Louise. Go ahead and unmute yourself.
Hi, good morning. Sorry, I'm not on video. But yes, please, could you tell me if you were kind of using this in a whole practice, you know, your whole yoga practice would you recommend that you would do it before or after the asana?
You mean the alternate nostril breathing?
Yeah.
It depends. I mean, you have systems that insist that it should be before, like Shivananda, and many different systems that say, you can do it after. It's really about what you want to achieve. There isn't a right and wrong. Realize that when you do it before the practice, you're really opening up your connection to that subtlety, to your breath, to the subtle energies of prana, and you might want that to flow through your entire practice. Alternatively, you might feel really disconnected from those things in the beginning and want to move through the practice in order to open up the lungs, the breathing apparatus fully, so that when you do that, it feels easier and you can go a little bit more deeply. Neither is right, neither is wrong. It's just about what we want to obtain from it. In fact, you could do it before, then asana, then after. I think what you need to do is understand how it affects you, and then on a day-by-day basis, choose what your body and mind need.
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Any other questions or comments before I walk Miss Minnie? Would you do the pranayama? Oh, okay. I think I just answered that question, Petra, based on what Louise said. Yeah. And be interested in when a particular system of yoga says just only this way, just like this. Because over more than 2,000 years, yogis have developed different techniques that sometimes contradict each other, not because one is right or one is wrong, but because they're trying to have different effects. And I'm always suspect of any system that says, my way is the only way. And always more comfortable with a system that says, I am offering this for this reason, and there are other roads. Right? As the texts say, there are many paths to moksha or enlightenment. Or as the Buddha said, those who argue about the nature of my teachings are not following them. Yes. Okay. Thank you everyone so much. So since I believe there are no further questions, I will love you and leave you till next Wednesday. I'll ask Leah to put up on the website some more sessions that go through till most of November. Oh, in November, I will have 2 weeks off. I have something important I need to do, but with that exception, yeah, I might do it, but just not be on camera. Let's see. Okay, take good care, everyone. Thank you. Be well. Breathe well. Namaste. Thank you. I'm going to end the session. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye. Thank you. So long. Farewell.
Thank you.
Thank you.